Seamus O'Regan is Canada's Minister of Labour. He joins me now from Calgary, where the CP rail negotiations continue. Minister O'Regan, first of all, thanks for taking your time to speak with me tonight. What can you tell us about where the talks are at right now?
They're in the thick of it. There's been, I guess, some drama that other people have seen on the outside, but I can tell you on the inside, these two parties are committed to the table. They are committed to the negotiating table. They've been there, and they are, hammering away at this. I take that as a very good sign. I never, ever take for granted that you'd have, the employer and the company, both at the table. One can always leave. That's their privilege and their right, but they have not. And so I take that as a very good sign.
Have you given the two sides a deadline?
No, I've just said to them I want a substantive deal, and I want it as quickly as possible. And I think that's pretty much, Peter, the mood of Canadians, to be honest with you. As I've said on several occasions in the past couple of days, this work stoppage couldn't happen at a worse time. Between reeling from COVID and their supply chains backed up to the floodings that occurred out in the West and still backlogged a lot of things, and then you put on top of that the stresses and strains right now of a war in Europe. This couldn't be happening at a worse time, so I want a deal now.
Okay, so what does that mean? How long are you prepared to give the negotiations before you order an end to the stoppage?
One thing I've learned is that even speculating about that can have an effect on the table, and I am singularly focused on getting this deal. So even talking about, when, if, how long can affect the parties, can affect them and their ability to get a deal, and I am not doing anything to endanger that. So, I'm being a bit obscure, but I want to tell you there's a good reason for that. I am focused on the deal. Right,
but you've talked about how urgently a deal is needed, so I guess I'm wondering
exactly
why you're reluctant to act immediately when you know how much is at stake.
I do know how much is at stake, but I also know that the best deals, the most resilient deals, so you're not coming back and doing this all the time, happen at the bargaining table between the two parties. The federal government has a very, obviously keen interest in this, and I commend our federal mediation and conciliation service, because these are professionals who are at the table and helping them wind their way through this and navigate through, and they are doing a commendable job. Right. And I congratulate the parties for, sticking with it.
Right, but when you talk about the best deals or the most resilient deals are the ones, achieved at the bargaining table. But what if that takes 2 weeks? What if that takes 3 weeks?
I want the deal to happen as quickly as possible.
Right, hours, days. I mean, the stoppage is already getting noticed in the United States, surfacing more concerns there about the reliability of Canada's supply chain in this country. There's a lot riding on not just a deal, but the timetable around a deal and the urgency of one.
Oh, I'm keenly aware of it. I keep the U.S. ambassador to Canada updated. I've spoken on several occasions in the past couple of days with the U.S. Secretary of Labor. This is an integrated economy continentally, particularly our railway. And when we talk about supply chain issues in this country, it does have a big effect in the United States. So, being good partners, we have kept them updated. I personally keep them updated to make sure that they know, where things are. So, no, I'm very much aware of that, Peter.
Yeah, but I know you don't want to single to either side when you might be prepared to act as a government. But to the people who are concerned about the impact of this, and you've detailed the impact of this kind of a work stoppage. Should they expect this thing to be resolved one way or the other by the end of the week even?
I don't want to put a time limit on it, and I won't, because I want a deal, and I want a deal as soon as possible. And I think that's what Canadians want. So, trust me when I tell you that, speculating wildly on when I want to see a deal happen or speculating on when the deadline should be will have an effect at the table, and it will have an effect on getting a deal. And that's what we want. That's the permanent solution.
Can I ask you?
What can I tell you? I am, every time I do an interview on this, I am walking a tightrope, and I appreciate that. And I usually like having, far more frank answers for you. But I am singularly focused on getting that deal.
You know the concerns that have been expressed by farmers, producers, especially in the West, running low on feed and fertilizer.
Yeah, indeed.
And obviously a lot of that moves by rail. So I'm sure they're wondering tonight, do you have a plan B idea for them?
I choose to be optimistic. And I am confident that I know that the best place to reach this deal is at the negotiating table with these two parties. And we are working day and night and day to make sure that that happens.
Let's finish on this. You've chosen to stay in Calgary. You're there. Are you actually in on any of the negotiations? And what is your role there, and why do you feel the need to stay there?
Well, I haven't booked a flight home, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We have an extremely able, federal mediation and conciliation team. This is what they do. They are very good at it. I would probably make the argument the ministers of labor will come and go. These guys will know what they're doing, and they will, continue to see governments through moments like this. I frankly am quite struck by just the level of competence and professionalism that they hold, and they are respected by the other parties as well. They are well known and respected by them. These are the men and women to do the job.
But have you been in the room at any time?
I have been here to support them, and this is one of those situations where it's not about me; it's about getting the deal.
All right, Labour Minister Seamus O'Regan. Good of you to take the time tonight, Minister. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it.